And we're back with you here on the Market Day Report. I'm Marlon Bowling with you. Thanks for joining us here on a Monday as we get our futures trade off and running. And as we examine our opening trades today, let's bring in a little extra help. We have Dewey Strickler on the line. He's with AgWatch Market Advisors in Franklin, Kentucky. So let's go to the phones right now. And Dewey, happy Monday to you. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Marlon. Thanks a lot.
Good to have you with us here. We had a firmer tone in the grain trade overnight. Let's see how we're opening up here on the daytime session right now. Let's go to the corn market first and look at our live quotes direct from Chicago. Right now on the corn board, we have the March contract up a penny at 366 1/4. May up a penny. New crop December up 3/4 at 393 1/4. Nothing overly exciting, but it is a little firmer. Now, as we look at the soybean trade here, we have the March contract up 11. How about that? 10.38 per bushel. We have the May contract up 10 3/4 now this morning at 10.48 per bushel, and September up 8 1/2. How about the wheat trade? Let's take a peek at that. In Chicago, wheat were mixed. Nearby is a little bit firmer, only by 1 tick on the March contract. That puts them at 4.30 1/2. July down 1/2 cent at 4.55 3/4. And moving on to Kansas City wheat, here we have the March contract up a penny and a quarter at 4.41 3/4. New crop July, a penny and a quarter higher as well. In the Minneapolis wheat trade on spring wheat, we have March up 3 3/4. Up 3 1/2 now at 5.61 3/4. We have July 2 1/4 higher at 5.61 3/4. And quickly on the cotton market this morning, we're opening up the March down 28 points at 76.13. So let's focus on the grain trade here with Dewey Strickler. And Dewey, as you look at the grain markets here this morning, what's driving the soybean market in particular here?
I think there's two things here, Marlon. One is that the Lunar New Year's coming to a close here, so you got some optimism that China will be back in business as usual. And the other thing is that last week the funds liquidated about 105 million bushel of their long position. And when I looked at the overnight trade, seeing the market up double digits, it's just telling me that they're back in here adding to those longs again. And that's really about all there is to it.
So you're not necessarily concerned about weather or growing conditions in South America right now?
Right now, they look pretty benign. I think the trade is kind of getting beyond that. I mean, we do have some harvesting going on in South America and Brazil. So I think the weather is just slowly beginning to lose its grip a little bit.
Now, on the corn, I was looking at a chart this morning here, Dewey, and on a corn chart, if you go back to, let's say, the end of September, it looks like it's been stuck in about a 30-cent trading range. Now, we are toward the top of that trading range here. Do you think that's a decent marketing opportunity, or do you think they're going to bust through that high?
Okay, what I am telling my producers here right now is that just exactly as you said, we are in about a 3-month-long trading range here. Eventually, we will have an upside breakout, but whether it comes in the March contract, still not known. I think you might have a little difficult time. I'll tell you this, you move down below, let's say, 361 in March corn, guess what we're probably going to do? We're probably going to back off and test support at 352, maybe 345 1/2. So if this is something, you got corn to move, you don't want to let it get away from you.
All right. Well, Dewey, I will bring you back here in a little bit, and we'll talk about maybe the livestock trade and some of the outside markets. I noticed the dollar had firmed up this morning, too. We'll take a look at that when we come back after a short break. Our guest is Dewey Strickler, and we'll be back right after this. Well, we're talking with our very special guest, Dewey Strickler of AgWatch Market Advisors in Franklin, Kentucky. Let's get you updated here on the latest information with the U.S. dollar index. For one thing, let's take a look at what the trade is doing. On the futures board, we have March futures 240 points higher now at 100.080. It had been as high as 100.200 overnight. Now on the crude oil market, on the crude, it has been trading a little bit weaker today, not a lot. March crude oil is down 15 cents at 53.68. That's West Texas crude we're looking at. And also, we have the Dow Jones Industrial Average for you, I believe. We can take a peek there at the New York Stock Exchange. It is still over 20,000. We finished there late on Friday. In case you missed it, it closed around 2070 or thereabouts. And right now we're at 2065 or 2063 now. That's down about 7 points on the day. So very quiet, almost neutral trading over there. Just your quick thoughts here, Dewey, on the financial markets here as we get things rolling on a Monday. Seemed like almost everything was higher over the weekend in the overseas trade.
right, the Dow is trying to go up, maybe poke up and make some new highs here, and I think the Dow will eventually go to 22,000, possibly 24,000. I think we're going to be looking at a major peak in May, and when it develops, watch out.
What would that mean for our grain and livestock trade then?
I don't know if it's going to mean a whole lot here, Marlon. And the reason I say that is that, you asked me about the beans. You've got these funds are trying to put a little bit of an inflation play in here on the grains, specifically on the soybeans. I think that when the Dow drops, I don't know that's going to have that big of an impact, but it could possibly scare some of these large traders away from the market here somewhat. So I would definitely keep that in mind.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and take a look at our livestock trade here and see how we're opening up this morning. We had kind of a flat close on the market on cattle on Friday, but we are seeing trends of firmness this morning. February live cattle up 45 cents. We have April now 56 higher this morning. We're trading at 116.18 per hundredweight. And it looks like our overall trading range so far this morning from the high to the low in the April contract is about 60 cents wide. The June contract up 40 cents right now. If we take a look at the feeder cattle market, currently we have the March contract up 53 at 124.10. April 45 higher at 123.95. Now this cash cattle market that developed on Friday was extremely light, kind of a cleanup trade, but it seemed to hold steady or maybe even a little firmer than what we had on Thursday.
Yeah, that's right. I think we're in more of a technical trade here now. I mean, since earlier last month, we've had a pretty steep sell-off in the cattle, and it looks like the cattle is just trying to retrace some of that. You got a little bit of a gap in the April contract of cattle beginning here at 116.75. So, we're only about 50-some-odd points away from that. Don't be surprised if we don't try to go up and fill it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take a peek at our lean hog trade, and we'll see how we're opening up over there. That market was kind of mixed on the close, I believe, on Friday, with most contracts trading higher, though. The February just a couple of pennies weaker. Now we have February up 36. April, though, unchanged right now at 70.25. And you have the May contract up 8 cents in value at 74.58. Some analysts have been telling me, Dewey, that this hog market seems to be one of the strongest.
Yeah, it certainly is. When you look at the chart on it, you have to look and see, hey, what's this market doing? And as a trader, I can tell you, you need to look and see, are we making higher highs and higher lows, or just the opposite? And in the hogs, we're making higher highs and higher lows. So that tells you that the trend is up.
Dewey, you have a new, you call it a university, AgWatch University. If somebody wants to learn more information, how would they get in touch with you there?
Best thing they could do is go check out the website, agwatch.biz, and go look at AgWatch Grain Market University. What I've had a couple of people that are enrolled in the program say, and this is a one-on-one mentorship. It is not a weekend course. So they've referred to it as a sniper training of marketing.
All right. Thanks, Dewey. Appreciate it. Good to visit with you again. Dewey Strickler of AgWatch Market Advisors in Franklin, Kentucky. So everything kind of off on a firmer note today.
All right. Thank you very much, Marlon.